Most of us know the survival rule of threes. You can survive about 3 weeks without food and 3 days without water. But the clock ticks loudest the second you stop breathing, leaving just 3 short minutes before your body begins shutting down. That 3-minute limit is the sound of a high-performance engine stalling. To understand why it fails so quickly, we have to look past the organs and into the microscopic machinery that keeps us running. This machine is built from 4 specific categories of raw materials. We call these the major biomolecules: carbohydrates, proteins, lipids, and nucleic acids. These aren't just parts of your diet. They are the physical components of every cell in your body. You encounter these components every time you sit down for a meal. The sugars in bread and fries are your carbohydrates. The meat in a burger is built from protein chains, and the oils and butters on the table provide the lipids. But simply possessing these raw materials isn't enough. Having fuel in the tank means nothing if the engine can't process it fast enough to keep the lights on. Left to their own devices, the chemical reactions required to break down food and power your cells would take years. To stay alive, your body needs those reactions to happen in milliseconds. This is where enzymes come in. These specialized proteins act as biological workers that jumpstart reactions by lowering the activation energy, effectively tunneling through the energy barrier that normally prevents a reaction from starting. Back in 1894, Emil Fischer proposed the lock and key model, suggesting that enzymes were rigid, unyielding structures. We now use the induced fit model, which shows that these workers are actually dynamic. They physically mold their shape to wrap around and grip a target molecule. Because they are so precisely shaped, these workers are fragile. If you expose them to extreme heat or acidity, they lose their structure, a process called denaturation. You can see this when you fry an egg. The heat permanently alters the clear proteins, turning them solid and white. By drastically lowering energy barriers, enzymes allow the complex math of human metabolism to calculate in real time, matching the speed of life itself. We have the raw materials and the enzyme workers to process them, but we still need a way to pay for the work. For that, your body uses ATP, the primary currency of the cell. ATP is a molecule with a tail of 3 phosphate groups. To release energy, the cell simply snaps off that third phosphate, turning the molecule into a drained version called ADP. Recharging that ADP back into ATP is the goal of aerobic cellular respiration. This is the biological factory process that extracts energy from glucose to keep your cellular batteries full. We can track this energy flow on a scorecard. It starts with glycolysis in the cytoplasm. We break down a glucose molecule, but the initial net profit is tiny, only 2 ATP. Once we enter the mitochondria for the Krebs cycle, we add another 2 ATP to the tally. More importantly, we load up a fleet of electron carriers, 10 molecules of NADH and 2 of FADH2. The massive final payout happens in the electron transport chain. Those electron carriers power a process called chemiosmosis, spinning a microscopic turbine that can generate up to 34 or 38 ATP from a single glucose molecule. This explains the 3-minute clock. To keep that entire chain moving, something has to catch the spent electrons at the very end. That something is oxygen. If you stop breathing, the factory line clogs, ATP production stops, and the engine fails. Your body can temporarily switch to anaerobic respiration when oxygen runs low during a sprint, but it's highly inefficient. To maintain the long-term aerobic survival of billions of people, we need a massive, constant supply of glucose and oxygen. But where do those vast quantities of fuel actually come from? The answer is found in the mathematical symmetry of the plant kingdom. The chemical equation for our respiration is the exact reverse of the equation for photosynthesis. While we burn glucose and oxygen to release water and CO2, plants take in water and CO2 to create glucose. In the process of splitting water for their own energy, they release oxygen as a waste product, the very oxygen we are currently breathing. Animals and plants exist in a closed-loop equation, where the waste of one provides the life-sustaining fuel for the other. Once a cell has secured its energy, it has to spend it. This ATP wealth is what allows an organism to grow and perpetuate its species. For daily growth and repair, your body uses mitosis. This process takes a single cell and creates two identical diploid sister cells, exact copies that maintain your biological stability. But for sexual reproduction, you don't want identical copies. For that, the cell uses meiosis. In meiosis, chromosomes physically swap pieces of DNA through crossing over, before dividing twice. This results in 4 unique haploid cells, ensuring that every sperm and egg is genetically distinct. While mitosis maintains the individual, meiosis provides the genetic diversity that allows the entire species to adapt and evolve. This is the unbroken chain of life. Energy from the sun is captured by a leaf, processed by a mitochondria, and eventually spent to split a strand of DNA. Biology is not a collection of random reactions. It is a mathematically precise balancing act of energetic inputs and outputs. These biological equations are what define that 3-minute oxygen clock. Survival is the result of your body successfully balancing its energetic ledger, one molecule at a time.